The King and the Miller's Servant. Once upon a time there lived a very rich miller. Money had made him proud and haughty. For 15 miles around you could not find such an arrogant man. He nailed the following notice to the front of his big house: "I am Bengt the Miller, and I have no worries." One day the king happened to pass by. He read the inscription and shouted, "Come out, Miller Bengt." The haughty miller thought it was one of the peasants calling him to ground his wheat, and said, "Who dares disturb me when I am trying to sleep?" The king became angry and told the miller that now he really did have something to worry about. The next day he was to come to the castle and answer 3 questions. If he got them wrong, he would be in trouble. The miller was worried. He knew he was not clever, and so he paced around his room, moaning, not knowing what to do. A servant called Pelle worked at the mill. Since he did not talk much, many people thought he was slow. They could not have been more wrong, for he was highly intelligent. He was in the mill when Bengt walked in. "Oh, what an unhappy man I am! What shall I do?" "What's wrong?" asked Pelle, and so the miller told him. "Nothing worse. If you want, I can take your place at the court. The king hasn't seen either of us, so he could easily mistake me for you." The miller felt a great burden lift from his shoulders and promised his servant a great sum of money if he answered the king's questions correctly. The next day, Pelle found the king seated on his throne. Seeing that Pelle was a miller, he thought he was meeting Bengt. To embarrass him, he ordered one of his learned men to speak to him in Latin. Despite, of course, not understanding a word, Pelle nevertheless responded, "Millum vitum groundum florum," and like the learned man before him, he bowed deeply before the king. The king liked his answer. "Good, but you still have to answer my 3 questions. First, how many stars are there in the sky?" 7,300,503. "If you don't believe me, ask one of your scholars to count them," the servant retorted. "He's not as stupid as I thought," the king said to himself. "Which woman in the kingdom has the most children?" he then asked the miller. Pelle answered, "The queen. She's the mother of all who live in the region." All the onlookers thought that was a good response. Then the king said, "The 3rd question. Answer correctly or you will be in big trouble." "What am I thinking right now? You think I'm Bengt, but you are wrong, for I'm his servant Pelle." The chamber roared with laughter. When the king had stopped laughing, he said, "For entertaining us as you did, I will grant you one request. Since my master does not know the ways of the court, I would ask that he is not required to come here." The servant's humble wish pleased the king so much, he gave him a pot of gold. Pelle became a rich man, married the daughter of Bengt the miller, and lived happily ever after.